Now let's continue building this first year schedule, as well as looking in equivalent courses at Sacramento State for this anthropology example. So before I begin, not sure why that did that. Yes, here we are. I made one mistake on the fall schedule that I didn't realize until later. The Anthro 4 actually could fulfill either one of these requirements through the Anthro AAT, and it also requires and fills through a general ed section as well, which I forgot to conclude, which is my bad. But it's definitely good to look through and see everything that something can fulfill, because looking at this example that I already made, one class I realized can fulfill up to 4 different requirements depending on when you take it and what else you've taken around it. So Anthro 2 or Anthro 2L is biological anthropology with an additional lab attached to it. This fulfills the degree's course part of the lecture, or the lecture fulfills the part of the core. Anthro 2 is right here. The lab can fit towards the area A requirements, and at the same time it also can fulfill section B2 and B3 of the general ed department, of the general ed CSU program. So B2 comes in right here, and then B3 is the lab requirement, which means that you have to take one class with an associated lab in either B1 or B2. Since we'd be taking Anthro 2 and 2L, that would be the lab right there. Therefore, the lab requirement would be done, which is good to mention because that's where this next class that I added comes in, which is Geology 5, which also fulfills section B1 up here as earth science, but it also can fit down into area B, where you can complete 3 units from. So you can double count again, therefore shortening the amount of units needed to fulfill this major, which means this is actually one of the faster programs that I've seen running through these examples. But now going on to the equivalent courses section. This is the point in the schedule where I think it's really important to find equivalent courses that Sacramento State wants in this example. So then we can find and figure out where to place and what to schedule for these 2 spots here. So if we go to Sac State, go on their website, we can find social sciences and interdisciplinary studies. Scroll through this, scroll through the Anthro department, we'd eventually find ourselves here. And then we can go through and find all this information here. So this is the degree, which can be found through the, forget which one it was exactly. I think it was the freshman and transfer roadmaps, or it was one of the, I think it was this one, explore degree opportunities. Yep. And then you can see the degrees here. Okay, good. But then this is the form that's also really important that I want to look through. Department Transfer Course Equivalency List. So I'm glad they used the words course equivalency. Seeing the vocab lecture as well. Going through here. And now we can find all local community colleges and what anthro classes they offer and what the equivalent is too. So since we're at San Joaquin Delta College, this would be the example to use. So Anthro 1 at Sac State is called biological anthropology. That's Anthro 2 at Delta. Therefore, if they want to require this in the degree, we already have the equivalent. Given that they have a lab attached to it at Sac State, and we also have a lab attached to it, it further backs up that this would probably be a good class to take at Delta. Cultural anthropology is called Anthro 2 there. That's Anthro 1 here, which is also nice because we can find Anthro 1 right here, which we need to take regardless. Looks like they also have an intro to archaeology class, which is called Anthro 3, which Delta has at Anthro 10. So if we scroll through this degree, there we go, here's the Anthro 10 class. So it looks like Sac State offers these classes and will likely require them once we start to go through the degree here. Yep, looks like they require 1A, 1A, 2, 3, and 4. And Delta has 1, 1A, 2, and 3. Judging by this list, for Anthro 4, Sac State's Anthro 4, Language, Cultural, and Critical Thinking, San Joaquin Delta College does not have an articulated equivalent, which means that if I were to transfer to Sacramento State, I would have to take their Anthro 4 class, which is Language, Culture, and Critical Thinking. Which is nice that if I follow this degree, not only would I have my general ed done when I transfer, but I would also have 4 of these classes required to start the program, i.e. prerequisites. I would have all of these done. So I would have to take this class at Sacramento State because they do not offer an equivalent. I would also have to take the upper division core, which makes sense because since it's upper division, I can't transfer lower division classes into it, which is 12 units. So I have to take these 2, one of the following, then one of the following. Okay. So that would be 12 units plus the additional 3 right here, which would be 15 for this program. Answer, select one of the statistics courses. I am not sure what this means exactly looking at this for the first time. I would definitely look more into this, or if confused, definitely consult some Sacramento State counselors specifically. And then looks like this additional requirements for concentration, which means that I can pick one of these 3 concentrations: archaeology and biological, cultural, language, and society, or general archaeology, general anthropology, and figure out one of these concentrations through this list down here. So this is a general anthro, and we keep scrolling. It does not look like they offer the other 2 on this website. I'm sure I can find it somewhere else through their website if someone was serious about looking into either the archaeology or cultural. So for the example, we can definitely use general later on. But yeah, forms like this would definitely save you a lot of time figuring out what classes to take and what classes they specifically want. So given that they want Anthro 2 and 2L, and given that this also would fulfill the lab requirement and area B for the general ed at Delta, this would be a no-brainer to take a Delta. Given that Anthro 1's also part of the degree, once again, this would be a no-brainer. And Intro to Archaeology, also set up in the degree, once again, another no-brainer. That's what's so nice about a lot of these associate's degrees for transfer, is that they're set up in a way where a lot of the classes you have to get done are classes that are specifically offered at Delta. But that doesn't mean that every single class within this is going to match perfectly with the degree. If we look at a business degree, for example, the business degree I actually graduated with, the AST associated with it at Delta was lined up perfectly with the exception of one class, where the associate's degree did not have a computer science requirement. Stanislaus State wanted a computer science requirement, so I had to take CS11, which was a little bit of a bummer, but that's why it's always good to look. It's always good to look through these degrees over here. It's always good to look through the programs, things like that. And now that we know this information, we can definitely work towards filling out our general ed, knowing that all of the prerequisites that we would have to get done anyway would be done through our program. So that means we can probably fill this remainder of our schedule with general ed courses. So let's look through our schedule once again. We would have general ed B done this semester. Well, B1, B2, B3. It looks like we would still need a math requirement somewhere in there. We would have section A done. We would have section A done. This is a mistake. Should be like this. Yes. We'd have section A done this semester as well, given that we're taking English 1D. And then run through this one more time for the general ed plan. B would be complete with the exception of a math class. We definitely could take a math here. If we look through the program, it wants 4 units selected from here. but then I believe we would be taking the lab, which would count, and we are taking linguistics, Anthro 4. So section A would be complete for the major. Section B, we would be taking geology 5, so section B would be complete. And then for area C, looks like we need to take one of these classes here, and then this entire degree would be finished just like that. So let's see if any of these classes also align with a general ed pattern that, or with the IGETC form, or the general ed for CSUs, I mean, and see how it turns out. So we've taken a class from section C, looking back at it, C1 and C2, but it looks like we need 9 units total from C, and we've taken only 2 classes. So we need one more class from either C1 or C2. Music, drama, art, comm studies 2, and a few dance classes, and then this one has a lot of English, foreign language, philosophy, religion. Let's scroll through here. Okay, this one wants religion 14B, and religion 14B is within the C2 section. So let's add religion 14B to the list, since it fulfills both the CSU C2, and it also fulfills the Anthro area C. Anthro AAT area C. Awesome. So this would be religion, was it 14A or 14B? It looks like they wanted 14B. Okay. Religion 14B, which is Western religion. Religion 14B. Perfect. And this is also 3 units, and it would fulfill both of these requirements. So if this schedule is stuck to, from my understanding, this degree would already be complete 2 semesters in. And a huge chunk of general ed would already be complete too. Area C would then be done, which means we can go to area D, which would require 3 classes to choose from. Complete a minimum of 9 units from at least 2 disciplines. 2 disciplines meaning that it can't all be anthro, it can't all be business, it can't all be speech. Has to be from 2 different subjects. If I wanted to be a general anthropology major, learning about people, I think I would probably consider taking Psych 1 here to fulfill this schedule. So let's do that. Psych 1, which is Intro to Psychology, and this would fulfill General Ed CSU area, was it D? I think there's no D ones or anything like that. Area D. Okay, and one last thing to look for with the schedule complete. The CSU pattern for general ed is a few more units than a UC or a general IGETC form, because they require specific other things, mainly this and this. So area E is lifelong learning and self-development. So complete a minimum of 3 units, not all in PE activity. So I would have to complete 1 class here. This looks like it would double count, but I do not think you can double count a general ed pattern twice. Meaning that if I take Anthro 4, it would not count towards area, let's look exactly. It would not count towards area, I did not write it down. Oops. It would assuming it counts towards like area B or area C most likely. Assuming it counts towards, actually let's just look this up. Anthro 4. So this is required in area E. Oh, it does not fulfill any other general ed up here. Okay. So it would double count here. Awesome. So complete 3 units, not all in PE activity. We already have this class done. It also counts towards our major. That section's complete. Awesome. worrying myself there for no reason. And then, so yeah, we'd be working through this in our third semester. And it looks like for the California State University American Institutions requirement, it looks like we have to take some history classes. So it says specifically at Delta College, qualifications of these courses to fulfill the United States history, Constitution, yada, 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 has to be through one of these combinations. So I can either take Poli-Sci 1 and one of the above history classes, or I could take History 17 and one of the following history classes down here. And if we scroll up to Section D, look at that. Most of the history classes are there. Most of the Poli-Sci classes are there, which means that within basically a year and a half, with this degree and how everything lines up, I could get this entire degree done, as well as every class needed to transfer to Sac State in 18 months, which this is a very odd example, as many degrees do not let you do that. But this is, once again, validates the fact that if you know how to build schedules, and if you are able to pinpoint and figure out what classes should go where, you could save yourself a lot of time and a lot of units. Where the initial estimate was 59 units, but given that a lot of things are double counting from the major and from the general ed, that unit count likely dropped significantly to probably around 45. I think 42 is how I counted it out, but I may be wrong on that, but significantly lower. And the fact that it fulfills the Sac State requirements means that this degree can be done very, very quickly if a student is aware on what they can do and how it can be built.